Austin, in Casa de Luz, here in Austin, Texas, and on Zoom. Hi, everyone on Zoom. Okay, I'm Teresa T. I'll be your platform leader for this morning. I have our lesson today and our music by the awesome Rick Busby. And we are going to invite Rick up to do a welcoming opening prayer.
So everybody just take a deep centering breath and just let go of all the chaos outside of these walls. Just go for the next hour or so. Those of y'all that are with us on Zoom in your own spaces, just anchor yourself in your spot. Send your consciousness in connection with us standing right here in this circle here in Austin. We welcome in the awareness into our consciousness of the one power, the one presence that activates all life in the universe, that keeps order to the universe. And we are a product of that divine order. And so today, as we come together in celebration and communication and communion with one another, we attune our senses, we attune our power of faith, our power of love. We attune all of our 12 powers and bring them into alignment with that power of divine order, that capacity for us to make adjustments in our life, to realign ourselves back with the divine law, back with that divine power, back with our true nature, no matter what's going on in the world. And so we thank the one power, the one presence for that gift of divine order in the universe that we get to experience and observe. And we also thank the one power, one presence for the power of order, that capacity within our own being that allows us to adjust, realign, recalibrate our being into alignment with that divine law, the divine law of truth, the divine law of wisdom, and the divine law of love. For all of this and so much more, we are ever so grateful. And so we say thank you, thank you, thank you, living, loving Spirit. We pray in the name and the nature of the indwelling Christ. And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Amen.
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 All righty.
Want to sing a song? Or
Yeah, Rick's going to do a song for us. Oh, are you doing this
Yep.
for our welcome song?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're going to show you the presence today. So.
Oh, good.
In the midst of God's children, the Lord said He would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just two or three, and I feel the same sweet spirit that I felt of times before. Surely I can say that I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Yay! Thanks, Rick. Okay, so now it's time in our service for our affirmations. At Unity, we use affirmations as a tool to create our reality. So our affirmation for positive prayer, we're going to say this together. God is my instant constant, abundant source of supply. I am blessed with health, wealth, happiness, wisdom, love, and success. Okay, and now we're going to affirm our vision for our community together. With our thoughts, words, and actions, we make a powerful and positive difference in Austin, Texas, and in our world. Great. And now I'm going to invite Debbie Sigrist up, and she's going to read our daily word for today.
Thank you. September 24th, 2023. The daily word, the word is healing. Divine life lives as me. I am whole and well. When I'm experiencing a healing need, I focus my thoughts beyond illness and discomfort. Even as I seek treatment for the injury or illness, I see myself whole. I remember that I'm created in the image according to the likeness of God. I know my life is God's life living as me. Divine life fills every cell, strengthens every muscle, bone, and organ, and quickens every nerve in my body. Bless you. It restores perfect order to all my body's functions, releasing and replacing anything unlike itself. When someone asks me to pray with them, I do not ask about their symptoms or circumstances. I affirm the healing activity of divine life in each one with whom I pray. I see them as spiritual beings they are, whole and well. From John 1, verse 4, in him was life, and the life was the light of all people.
So I'm gonna play this song this morning. I don't often play this. I think I might have played it once for y'all in the past. I know I played it in San Marcos here recently, but I don't play it that often. And as I was contemplating the talk today in the divine order, it kind of popped into my head, and I thought about it for a minute. I was like, oh yeah, that would kind of go along with it in kind of a left-handed way, but me being left-handed, that's kind of nice to me. So, but I'll talk more about that when we get to the talk. But in the meantime, this is a song called Holy, and I wrote this song in the late 90s when I first kind of got back into songwriting, and I was doing a lot of work with A Course in Miracles during this period. So the work with A Course in Miracles was causing me to sort of rewire my thinking, rewire how I thought about the words that I used to express my own faith, my own belief, and getting used to this idea that we are divine beings. Like, that was kind of foreign to me in my life up until that point in time. I'd never thought about myself being a divine being, and that there's a holy component to each one of us at that divine center. And so that song kind of came up out of me working my way through A Course in Miracles concepts and trying to reclaim, that inner divinity that I had not nurtured or tended to pretty much almost for 40 years at that point in time in my life, that I had not tended to it. And when I started playing this song, I got to tell you, it scared me. And it scared me because alone in the process of writing this song, I could not have gotten to this song intellectually by myself. That I was literally had that palpable sense of being in co-creation with something else. So it was a very important song in my own evolution, not only as a musician and a songwriter, but as a child of God as well. This is obviously called Holy. It was up there on the screen a minute ago, but it's not anymore. So I care about your listening pleasure, so I'm just going to check the tuning here because it feels like it's just slightly off.
It's never bad. That's right. Never a bad idea.
There we go. Let's give this another shot here. There's a fire in the midnight to burn my separation, with a flame in black and white to light my investigation. If it's so mysterious, how will I ever understand? All this experience is slipping through my hand. I think it's time to set things right. Look at all the pieces burning in the night. I think it's time to let my soul leave. So I'm looking through the pieces that make me holy, holy, oh, holy, oh, holy, oh, holy, holy. We never fell from Eden, that's just something we believe. Through the centuries conceding, for our sins we had to leave. But we never left the garden, consigned to travel east, to toil away and burden for the things that matter least. I think it's time to set things right. Look at all the pieces in the morning light. I think it's time to let my soul leave. So I'm looking for the pieces that make me holy, holy, oh, holy, oh, holy, oh, holy, holy. All of my judgments and all of my fears, all of my judgments and all of my tears, they're only the pieces that remain of Eden's stain, showing me how to dream the dream of a forgiven world. I think it's time I've set things right. All the pieces, innocent light. I think this time I've let my soul be. So I'm letting go of the pieces, so I can hold on to the peace that makes me holy, holy, oh, holy, oh, holy, oh, holy, holy, oh, holy, oh, holy. Well, I'm one holy son coming home. Yeah, you make me holy. So I lost my my Boy Scout badge, you know, the be prepared badge that you I lost that badge this morning because I forgot to bring guitar picks with me. They were in another guitar case, and I got here and I was like, do I have any picks in the car? Do I have any picks here? No, I don't have any picks with me. So I'm like doing that thing. So thank you all for being here. This is the first of a 2-week series. I'll be with you all again next week. And Debbie and I had brainstormed a couple of months back, kind of like doing a series, and I think at first I was going to do a series on the 4 agreements, which we may get to. Actually, there's 5 agreements. John, there's 5 agreements?
Yes, there
Yeah.
are.
5 agreements. Maybe we'll do that sometime in the future, but as I kind of got closer to here, I started thinking about some of the powers that I don't normally talk about. Power of faith, that always gets traction. Power of love gets traction. The power of imagination. Those are all, the sexy powers, right? And so those get a lot of play. But you start getting into order and zeal and even renunciation to a certain kind of thing, and it becomes a little, weird to talk about them. So this month, we're at the end of this month, but this month the power of the month is the power of order. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And then next week we'll be at the beginning of October, so the power of zeal is the power of the month for October. So we'll focus and spotlight on that. But also this is just kind of as we're going through these 2 talks, I'll be kind of name checking and referring to the other 12 powers along the way. But today's focus is on order, next week's focus is on zeal. But we will be talking about the other powers, because one of the important things for us to always remain mindful of as it relates to these 12 creative spiritual faculties that we have within us, that Charles calls the 12 powers, is that none of them are intended to operate in isolation. They're all intended to work off of each other. There's a synergy that happens when we're conscious of, oh wow, I can use my power of faith to link it with my power of order to reestablish order in my life. My power of faith allows me to perceive that there is an order possible, that there is an order present, even if I can't see it. So my power of faith allows me to perceive that, and my power of order helps me to adjust. That's one of the key verbs that Charles will use to depict the power of order, that it's our adjusting power. It allows us to recalibrate back into alignment with divine order. If we look out at the world right now, does the world feel like it's in order out there? Right?
Not really.
Yeah, it feels kind of chaotic, right? The truth is, the world has always felt that way. And Jesus reminds us, that there will always be wars and rumors of wars.
Yeah.
But he also advises us to not be concerned by those appearances, because those are just appearances of the world giving birth to itself. So what we see is chaos out here. Our faith, particularly here in unity, because we affirm that there is one power, one presence active in our lives, and that power and presence is everywhere, not only transcendent outside of us, but also immanent within us. So there's no place we can be where God is not, right? We affirm that almost every single week in Unity churches forever. Wherever I am, God is, and what? All is well. Does it feel like all is well when we're watching the media?
No, I don't
Right.
watch it that way.
And well, I get it. I get it. And sometimes that is a defensive mechanism that we do. We have to feel ourselves unplugged from that. It's like, I can't. It's too much. It's overwhelming my consciousness. It's overwhelming my thoughts. I'm too plugged in to that reality that's going on out here, and I'm forgetting my own divine center. And so in unity we practice what? We practice time in the silence. So that time in the silence is a time of withdrawal, to go back into that silence, to reconnect with that still center within us, that no matter what's going on out here, that still center is still right at the center, and it's still very still, it's still very peaceful, no matter circumstances. You know how he places the different orders and faculties at different places in our head and our heart, and kind of get down into our lower regions. The power of order is connected with our navel area, which is obviously that's connected to our birth process, right? That was our umbilical cord that tied us to our mother, that nurtured us, and our mother was connected to source, and so we're connected to our mother's source. She's connected to, the divine source, and so there's an ongoing connection. And so when we're out of sorts, when we're out of balance, and we have that capacity to reprioritize our thoughts, reprioritize our activities if necessary, to bring us back into alignment and balance with the divine. And it's our power of order that allows us to do that, right? So one of the ways that I talk about the power of order, Charles would call it, kind of sum it up into kind of one verb. He would call it the adjusting power, that power that allows us to recalibrate. I'll also tag that by calling it our prioritizing power. That if there is a divine order, if when we say that there is a divine order, we affirm there is a divine order. Even if I can't see it, I know that there is a divine order. I was looking at, y'all ever seen, I'm sure you have seen these photographs where it looks like it's a photograph of our galaxy from somewhere up above the galaxy, and you just see the ring of stars and planets and light, and it's kind of like this, and there's this big slice like this that's running through there, and there's this huge vast universe around it. And if we were able to be above it all, so to speak, be in a meta position to be above it all and looking down at this galaxy right now in its sort of a macro sense, all the planets, and specifically here on Earth, all the lives that are going on in the planet. If we're looking at it from up there, it's just beautiful and all in divine order. We're not plugged into the individual dramas and tragedies and different kinds of things that are going on the planet. Up here, it's just, wow, look at this order. Look at this. How is this continuing to stay in order? And think about it. It takes us, roughly speaking, 365 days to travel around the sun, right? Do you know how long that is? Like the circumference is? It's roughly speaking 365 million miles. So that means that on a daily basis, this rock is traveling 1,000,000 miles a day.
What?
It's traveling 1,000,000 miles a day while it's turning on its axis at 1,000 miles an hour. Because it's 24 hours, it's 24,000 miles around the circumference. So basically, the Earth is turning at the rate of 1,000 miles an hour while it's traveling 1,000,000 miles a day.
You're making me queasy.
I know. It truly is. Like you think about how fast it's so fast that we don't perceive the speed.
No.
It's like we're going out there in this space, you know, and every year we circle around the sun, and then we begin that journey again. And that journey has been going on forever, basically, as far as we know, forever. It's been going on certainly longer than our own lifetimes. And it's been going on without us having to do a thing about it. That, in a macro sense, is divine order. Like just even wrapping our mind around the science of it and the math of it, it's like we're turning at 1,000 miles an hour. Wow, that's faster than I've ever flown or driven or anything. I can't even calculate what it would feel like to go 1,000 miles an hour, but yet I'm going 1,000 miles an hour in rotation all the time, but I'm still grounded to the planet. I'm still standing here. I'm not dizzy. I'm not falling down. And this rock that we're on is traveling 1,000,000 miles a day. We don't often pause to think that deeply into the divine order that is all around us. Now, maybe we could sit here and contemplate the life of a tree. The novel that I'm writing right now has a big loblolly pine tree that plays a part in the story. And so I've done some research on pine trees and what happens if lightning strikes a pine tree, like what's the phenomenon that goes on within the tree that would cause a branch to break off, for example. All the different kinds of life processes that are going on in this loblolly pine tree in this story. And so as you dive down deep into it and you start getting to the biology and the botany and the science of a tree's growth and its life cycle, it's like that's going on right out here in the garden, and it's going on whether we're paying attention to it or not. It's going on whether we're tending to these plants or not. It's always ongoing, and that's going on all over the planet. It's going on all over the galaxy. So if nothing else, we should be, that's awesome. Like really, like just to look at it and just take it in and take in the depth and the seeming complexity of it, the underlying life force that's going on about it. That is the divine order in a universal sense. And we can, if we get caught up into our own dramas and challenges and, you know, illnesses or lack or relationship issues or whatever kind of problems we perceive that we might have at this sort of micro level, that our process here in Unity teaches us that we have a reserve, a reservoir, a place that we can go to get back in connection with Source within, right? To let all that go, to like park it for just a little bit so that we can reconnect with that indwelling Christ presence that's within us. That allows us to connect back with this idea. And we don't often think about it in these terms, but it does allow us to connect back with this idea of divine order. When I go into the silence and I might be feeling frustrated or anxious or fearful about anything, and I would withdraw into that silence and into that contemplative space, whether it's affirmative prayer or just simply receiving, that I'm able to recalibrate. And that's one of the ideas in the power of order here. It's our power to adjust. The world out here is going crazy. I'm real plugged in. I can't get off Facebook. I can't stop watching YouTube videos and seeing how bad it is and hearing people talk about it. Now I'm feeling anxious and I don't know what to do about it. I'm calling up a friend. Have you seen this? Man, this is... Got to reconnect. I'm going to tell y'all a little story. I was thinking about this morning. Some of y'all that may have seen it on Facebook, if you follow me on Facebook, a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, I'd seen this YouTube video of this teenage girl. Her name is Sina, S-I-N-A, and she's a drummer. And she's, you know, I think at the video that I saw, she was probably 15 or 16 at the time that she did this video. And she did a video playing the drums, and it had the track of Dire Straits' song, Sultans of Swing, which came out in 1978. And it's one of the great guitar tracks. Every time I hear that song, I'm back in a van, traveling Texas in a rock band, going from club to club, and it was hot on the radio, and we're traveling around Texas and Louisiana that year, and we're hearing Sultans of Swing. And so that song will be 45 years old this year, 45 years old. This young girl, Sina, she was 15, 16 at the time that she did this video. So she wasn't even born when the song was out there. And because it's such a great guitar song, I'd never really paid that close attention to the drums. So the video is just on her playing the drums to the track. Number one, I realized, wow, that's a great drum track. I'd never really paid attention to how great that drum track was. And then as I'm watching her do this young girl who wasn't even alive when this song was recorded, and I started crying. I got overwhelmed with joy. And I just had this overwhelming sense, it's gonna be all right. And I literally posted that on Facebook. I was like, hey y'all, it's gonna be all right. Watch this, because I've grown into one of those old guys, you know, hey you kids, get off the grass. You know that guy you never thought you would be. Grown into that guy, and underneath that idea of you kids get off the grass is the same way the older generation looked at us when we were growing up. Everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket with this younger generation. It's all crazy. And when I watched this girl play the drums, I realized everything's going to be all right. That if there are humans in that generation that have that much snap, that much, you know, appreciation for, because most of her videos, she's going back and taking classic songs that all were recorded before she was born, and she's just doing these amazing drum tracks. It's a joy to watch her playing the drums. And I just had that sense of, it's going to be all right. Like, I'll be gone from the planet, and the planet will still be going on. And so the concern is that we're the last generation. It's just like, this is where it ends. It's going to, no, it's not. Life continues to go on. There is a divine order in play. Even if I can't see it, why is this falling away? Well, this other thing is emerging. Well, I don't like this other thing. I want this thing. It's like, no, divine order says some things have to fall away so other things can emerge, that there is an evolution, that there is a progress going on here. Even if I resist it, even if I argue against it, even if I can't see it, even if I'm afraid of it, even if I'm endorsing it, right? There is a divine order in play always. And that all what we would call challenges or crises in our life, when they present themselves in our life, everything in divine order is intended for my personal transformation. Everything that's going on in your life is intended for your personal transformation. If we resist it, why is this happening to me? And we kind of go to that feeling like we're a victim, so to speak, that there's some other power holding us down, then we're mired in fear at that point in time. Fear is the prevalent emotion that happens when we start feeling that way. Separated, victimized, powerless. There's an underlying fear that's going on there. And if I find myself in that space and it starts feeling very anxious, I'm way out there on the tether now. You know, whoa, what's going on? I feel out of control. I feel like I have no power. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now that I feel completely powerless about. That the only thing within my power on a given day, with a given circumstance, is the power to use my own sense of divine order to recalibrate, to adjust to those circumstances so that I can create the conditions for me to experience peace. Y'all may have heard me say this before in the past. You know, peace is my favorite word. Not just because it's a cool sounding word. It's because it's the condition, the experience that I most want and desire. Playing guitar, I love playing guitar, but I play guitar and write songs because it gives me peace to do that. Peace is, you'll find if you like look at anything in your life, anything that you've desired or anything you want to have in your life, you know, what you want to manifest, that usually we're focused on the thing, but what we really want is the condition and the experience we believe that we will have if we have the thing. And that condition is peace. It's safety. It's that comfort. It's that unified presence. Rarely do we actually want to manifest something that we consciously know is going to cause us fear, disease, separation, angst, anger. Like we don't consciously attract those things. We're trying to consciously attract that condition of peace because it brings us back to that original condition, like that song Holy was saying. It's like, hey, I'm doing all this investigation here. There's this fire burning, and it's trying to help me sort things out so I can see things in black and white, so to speak, and see clearly about this thing. Oh, and wow, we never left the garden. We just think we left the garden. We're actually still in the garden. But if we believe we've left the garden, we have placed an artificial sense of separation between us and the divine, between us and our awareness of the garden. We did that. God did not separate us because they ate an apple. They ate an apple. It was a forbidden fruit. They became aware that they had the forbidden fruit, and in their shame, they tried to hide. They tried to separate themselves. They tried to hide behind a fig leaf, right? It's like think about that. It's like artificial. Like you're going to use a fig leaf to try and conceal yourself from God, which is not possible. Okay, but we continue to do that in various kinds of ways, and usually the things that we try to conceal are the things that we feel shame about. And Dr. Hawkins' work, especially the Power versus Force, where he does the map of human consciousness, where everything is calibrated from 0 to 1,000 on this vertical scale. The very lowest form of energy that we can express, 0 to 20 on his chart there, the lowest form we can express is shame.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the lowest emotion, lowest feeling. And it's in that shame where we try to hide. We're afraid that if somebody sees or knows the worst parts about ourselves, they'll, take away our human card or whatever, and they'll exile us to, God knows where. Where can they exile us to where God is not present? Well, nowhere. Okay? But we think we can hide, and we can't actually hide. And so there's that sense of order to this process, seeing it played out right now, just on our planet right now, we've got over 8 billion people. So that process is playing out at least 8 billion times now. And that's not all the people that have ever lived or all the people that are ever going to live. It's just what's going on now. And everybody has that experience of approaching the divine from whatever mythology or culture or tradition you come from. There is still that idea that there is a divine being, entity, or force, whatever you want to call it, that is part of every tradition. and they're trying to bring themselves into alignment with that power presence, and they have their various languages and cultural traditions and everything that help them to practice that. The whirling dervishes, right? They're spinning themselves. Makes me dizzy thinking about them spinning themselves. But in that practice, and it's a practice with them, that as they're spinning, they're concentrated on that still part right at the center of them. It's like if we got just a whirling dervish, we're watching the external circumference of something spinning, 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 even the earth that we were talking about a minute ago. But at the center, you hardly see any wobble or anything, because at the center it's still. That's the presence of divine order. All this is going crazy out here, this energy, this activity, this whirling dervish kind of thing, but at that still point in the center, that's the divine order. It keeps things in balance. We have the opportunity, we have the facility, we have the power, through this power of divine order, to recalibrate, to adjust, right? To put our own thoughts, our own activities, and prioritize them in a way that allows us to align with, be in alignment, be one with the divine power, the divine principle of love, life, even in this sense, divine order. So we have that capacity. Well, I'll invite you right now, just kind of place your hand over that abdominal section there where your belly button is, your navel is. Just for just a few moments here, let's just think into that. Just go there. And just recognize that this power center that we've been gifted is a facility, a capacity that we have to reestablish our awareness of order. There is always a divine order present, whether I'm aware of it or not, whether I can see it or not, whether I accept it or not. That there is a divine order in play always in my life. That if I can bring into my awareness that everything that has ever happened to me has happened for me. It's not happening to me. If it's happening to me, it's too easy for me to slip into a victim consciousness. Why is this happening to me? But if I ask that question, why is this happening for me? How can I use this to facilitate my transformation, to progress in my evolution of more fully and authentically expressing my own divine Christ presence? That's that power of order. That's what allows us to connect and recalibrate, adjust ourselves to bring ourselves back into that alignment. We're not absent anything. That power of order establishes our awareness of the order that is playing out in our lives, all around us in nature, and all around us in others that we love and people we don't even know. We are all children of God. That is part of the divine order. That is part of the design. And while we may not be able to understand the purpose of it all in a meta sense, as it comes down to our individual experience, it is to facilitate our growth. It is to facilitate our transformation. Everything that has ever happened brings us closer to that awareness. Sometimes the greatest gifts that we can receive in life, that we become aware of in life, are oftentimes some of the worst things that ever happened to us. Why is this happening? Has anybody ever done that? I've had that moment on a few occasions. And why is this happening to me? It's the worst thing that ever happened. How am I going to recover from this? And then it winds up later on down the road, you look at it and you go, you know what? If I wouldn't be right here today without that experience, and if it meant that I wouldn't be right here today, then I don't want to forego that experience, no matter how hurtful it was, or how much angst was about it, what depression it brought on, whatever the case may be. It wound up being the best thing that ever happened, because it leveraged me into a new path. A friend of mine was going to be coming with me today, but she wasn't feeling well. She's a little older now. She was the mother of a woman I was in relationship to back in the 90s. And she was literally there for me at my lowest point. Like my dark night of the soul, you know, where you crashed on the floor, curled up in a ball. Help me. You know, probably the first legitimate time I'd ever prayed to God, like I just realized that I was so far out on the tether and just in such psychic pain, you know, that I didn't know what to do. I was calling my mother in the middle of the night, and she wasn't answering the phone. And I'm like, why is mother not answering the phone on a Sunday night? She should be home in bed, waiting for my phone call to wake up. You know? And I hung up the phone, and I called back again, no answer. And then I'm sitting there, that's when I called out. It was like, I need help. Phone rang. Phone rang. Oh, it's mother calling back. Pick it up. No, it was Doris, this woman that I was going to bring this morning. In the middle of the night, she was the mother of the daughter that I was dating. We had a big fight. She had left the house, and I was just in terrible shape. It wasn't about the relationship. It was other stuff that was going on in my life. And so we talked for a minute, and I tell her, you know, Lauren's on the way, you know, to your house. You know, just want to make sure she gets there safely. And this, and the other. She said, okay, we talk. I'll go there now. She calls me back a couple minutes later. Do you want me to send somebody over? She was with a friend. So she sends over her friend in the middle of the night who'd never met me before. He stayed with me for a couple hours, kind of, you know, got me back grounded a little bit. Came, picked me up the next day, took me to a church over in Westgate to visit with his minister. And that sort of began my spiritual process. I didn't go back to that church, but Doris wound up introducing me to her minister at the time, who was a Pentecostal minister, I should tell you. And somewhere during that period after I'd met him, I just had this conviction one night, I need to be baptized. And I'd been baptized Catholic when I was a kid, but this was my own choice. Like I needed to take that step. And so in the middle of the night, it was a Friday night. I really don't even remember how I even had Brother Bernard's phone number. I don't, because I'd seen him maybe twice in my life. Called him in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, because I felt like that if I fell asleep and waited to call him in the morning, that my resolve and my will would go down, and I wouldn't call. So I literally had to call him in the middle of the night while my resolve was high. Brother Bernard, hate to wake you up. Will you baptize me? Yes. Okay. I'll call you tomorrow and we'll work out the details. Well, he baptized me. He had a house over 183 over there, kind of in the Balcones area. He baptized me in his backyard in his jacuzzi.
Nice.
While a storm was approaching. You know, it's one of those things that's like, okay, let's wrap this up before the storm gets here. I don't want to be, you know, struck down by lightning right at the moment of baptism. But that was the last time I also saw him. It was like his function and part of the divine order was to be present in my life, which I guess amounted to about, you know, a month or so that I knew him. Went to a couple of services with Doris. He baptized me. And then I went on about my life, and I've never seen him again. But he played his part in the divine order. That he answered the phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. You know, that I like I said, I don't even remember how I even had his number. It wasn't like the old days or the new days where you can kind of find out whatever you want from somebody. I have no idea. Like I don't remember. But that was part of a divine order in this path that has unfolded. This song, Holy, that I wrote, was another piece in that recovery of myself. But it was that whole process going from that crisis, that dark night of the soul, to getting on the path leading towards my healing. All of that is part of a divine order. But at the time I was experiencing that acute psychic pain, it was the worst thing that had ever happened in my life. And I'd had some things, you know, that I thought rivaled it. But it facilitated me getting onto a path. It got me leveraged into position to where there has to be another way of going about this. I'm a pretty smart guy, but man, I've made a mess of things trying to do it by myself. And it was that first time where it legitimately leveraged me into it. It took all of that psychic, emotional pain and distress and everything to get me into a place to where I was willing to surrender. Now I can surrender much easier. Nowadays I don't let it get to that state, but that's what it was. And I didn't have the language or facility. I didn't know about the power of divine order. I didn't know about the 12 powers or unity or any of that at the time that I was going through that. But looking back at it, it was like, oh wow, that power of divine order. By the way, I should finish up the little punchline about me calling my mother twice and her not answering and then Doris calling. I learned on Monday, the next day when I connected with mother, I had been calling her office number, not her home number.
Oh, my.
You know, I just dialed up, like just was used to calling her at work during the day, and I just dialed that. And it wasn't until the next day that I realized I was calling the office and not her home. If I'd called her at home and she'd have answered, we would have had a normal kind of, you know, she'd have sat up with me, we'd have listened and everything. It would have been a different experience. It was Doris calling because here was a person who didn't have to love me, who at that moment in time had a reason to be upset with me, right? But instead expressed unconditional love and concern. I'll start crying if I keep talking about this because it's still that feeling of her unconditional love is that palpable to me. She and I hadn't seen each other probably over 20 years up until recently. And we reconnected a couple of months ago, and I hadn't seen her in a long time, and she's got some physical, decline going on. So the first moment of seeing her, I was kind of braced for it because Lauren had kind of prepared me. But I brought lunch and got to her house, and we went inside, and it was like no time had passed. Like we were in immediate rapport, immediate conversation. We talked nonstop for about 3.5 hours, and it was just so life affirming because she is so important to me. And if there's somebody important in your life like that who has done some kind of turn for you, something that had an influence on your life, and you have lost connection with them, or whatever the case may be, I want to encourage you this week to kind of reach out, acknowledge that, say, hey, way back when this happened or that happened, you said this to me, and it had an influence on my life, and I don't think I ever told you, because it completes the circle. It's a part of that divine order. Going back and reconnecting with her re-energized her too, not just me. It re-energized her too. She wound up, she probably saw many of y'all's videos because for about 2 weeks she was on YouTube watching all my talks and texting me and going, I just saw your talk on this, that. And it's like, but it re-energized her too. Because up until that point in time, she was kind of like living in a nice place down south and everything, but kind of in isolation. And so it was life affirming for her to reconnect with me. It was life affirming for me to reconnect with her. And actually pay tribute to her. I was going to do this part of the talk today with her here, where y'all could physically see her, but it was so important, like that act of unconditional love in the middle of the night was like God, because like I said, I'd been reaching out to my own mother and calling the wrong number. How about that? And then she called right after I'd said, "Help me."
Yeah.
Phone rings. That help is available because it's part of that divine order. When we get ready, it's like that idea about, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, kind of thing. That's what our work is to keep ourselves in a state of readiness. The divine presence is always there, waiting on us to adjust our thinking, to adjust our feelings and everything, to bring ourselves back into alignment with that. It doesn't really restore order to chaos like that. Okay, you paid attention to me, I'll take care of all this. It's like, no, you still have to go through the process of recorrecting and recalibrating those parts of your life that were out of balance that brought you to that point. But there is that capacity within us to make those adjustments. That's the power of order. We bring that in with our power of love, which is our harmonizing power. We can perceive a new sense of order with our power of faith. There's a possibility there for my life to be in order. There's a possibility for me to experience peace, something other than this psychic pain that I'm experiencing right now. There's a possibility, a potential for that. I can see it with my faith. And I have this power of order that helps me reprioritize, readjust my life. I have a power of love that harmonizes my experience. I have a power of imagination that helps me to project a new vision for my life. We have all of these capacities, all of these factors, and we are lacking nothing The only variable is whether we're attending to it or not. Whether we are actively engaged. Oh, wow. I have a power of renunciation. I can pretty much let go of whatever doesn't serve me. Why am I still hanging on to some of these things that aren't serving me? What's the resistance? Well, I don't know how to let go. Well, that's silly because you actually have a faculty of renunciation. You have a faculty of elimination. It's as natural as the sun coming up every day. As we've traveled 1,000,000 miles and spun at 1,000 miles an hour, and the next day the sun comes up again. Right? That's mind-boggling. Like, think about traveling 1,000,000 miles a day. And yet we're doing it day in and day out. We're on this rock doing it day in and day out. That order is established. That order stays whether we're tending to it or not. To me, that's awesome. And I mean that in the highest. That's awesome. That just, you can't even wrap my mind around the science. I spent about 30 minutes yesterday just thinking about that aspect, like imagining into that 1,000 miles an hour turning on the axis. You know, I think it calibrates out to something like 46,000 miles an hour that we're traveling while we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And we travel 365 million miles around the sun year in and year out. It'll be going on after we're gone from the planet. That's awesome. And I don't think any man, any woman, any human could have created that. We place too many limitations on it. That's one of the things that Charles talks about in the 12 Powers book, is when Jesus is sort of admonishing the scribes and the Pharisees for, making everybody conform to the letter of the law, that he stripped out all the spiritual truth by all these. There were 39 precepts. How many lashes did Jesus get?
40.
39.
No,
He got 39 lashes.
39.
Yeah. And there was 39 precepts in the Jewish thing about how you had to observe the Sabbath. And he had gone about consciously breaking each one of those because they were just ridiculous. Ridiculous little precepts about what you had to do. So the 39 lashes were tied to this idea of one lash for every precept that he had broken. And he was tweaking them about it, like he was bringing it up to them. Because you have, by making people comply and conform to the letter of the law, you've stripped away the spirit. And that was the point, is that only God knows the truth. I only know the truth that I know. I only know and even the truth that I know is meaningless unless I have a facility to express it. If I can't put into words what I know, then it's limited as to how it can be used. But with God, with that ultimate truth, it's there available to all of us. That's also part of the divine order, whether we attend to it or not. So with that, and we'll carry on next week as we bring the order, the power of zeal into the conversation. But as you go through this week, and we'll take this into meditation for a few minutes here and just allow us to take that a little deeper. But I want you to be thinking about this week, what feels in order in your life? Like what areas, feel like, okay, order, and then what areas feel chaotic? What areas feel not only chaotic, but feel like that you're powerless to do anything to rein it in or to reestablish order in your life out of this chaos. And so we'll take this into meditation, but that's sort of the assignment this week, is to just observe, just to look around. This morning on the way here, it's like, the leaking in the garage. Now I got to go home. Thought I was doing something else today. Now I got to go tend to a leak in the ceiling in the garage to reestablish order in the house. You can be upset about it, or you can just go, hey, thanks that it wasn't worse, and let's go about the process. So look at your life this week and see where you feel like you're in order. See what feels chaotic, and then know that you have a capacity for order to reestablish that. So let's take that into meditation. So I'm going to play a verse of this song just to get us into the mood and into that space. I'm not going to play the whole song. So I just want to invite y'all to just gently close your outer eyes and take that deep centering breath. And just know that wherever you are, God is. Be still and know that I am the breath. The breath is the life. The life is the power. The power is love. The love of the one within. Be still and know. One method, one teacher. Be still and know. Here in the silence where you are to grow, there's no need to do, there's no place to go. One method, one teacher. Be still and know. One method, one teacher. Be still and know. So let's take that into the silence. Let's connect with that indwelling master teacher. The same one teacher that even Jesus had is the same teacher that you and I have, available to us at all times, in all circumstances, wherever we are. As we attend and attune our awareness back to that indwelling master teacher, we reestablish order in our lives. We make the adjustments necessary to bring us back into alignment with the one power, the one presence, the one truth, the one love. And wherever we are, whatever's going on, all we have to do is to sit down, be still, and know that we are in the midst of God's power, God's presence, God's wisdom, God's love, God's divine order in the silence. As we begin to gently draw our attention back into this space, back into your space if you're with us online. We know that wherever we are, God is, and all is well, all is in divine order. Even the chaos in my life, whatever way it may manifest, is intended for my personal transformation, is intended for your personal transformation, for us to grow, for us to evolve into a higher, more authentic expression of the children of God, the divine presence that is within us. We allow that to express through us. We're so grateful for that power of order that allows us to adjust, to recalibrate, to realign ourselves, to bring us back into that state of awareness. There is divine order everywhere in God's universe. I am in God's universe. You are in God's universe. And so that divine order is actually part of our being. It's as natural to us as the sun rising. It's as natural to us as breath. We are ever so grateful for this faculty, for this power, for this facility to recalibrate when we get too far out on the tether. And so we say thank you, thank you, thank you, living, loving Spirit. We pray in the name and the nature of the indwelling Christ. And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Amen.
Amen.
So we got this offertory.
Yeah.
This next. Okay.
Okay, so now it's time for us to gather together our gifts, and we will say our offering blessing together. Divine love flowing through multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Okay, and Rick's going to give us another song.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The prayer for today, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yay,
Bless y'all,
God.
Zoom. See y'all.
Thank you, Rick.
Bless them.